And in 2,000 years, more than 2 million people will live within a short walk of this exact spot. You're standing on a small mud bank in the middle of a wide, slow river. Reeds whisper around your ankles. There is nothing here. No tower, no bridge, no name carved in stone. Behind you, the river splits and wraps this scrap of land in two cold arms of water. Ahead, low green hills roll away into mist. And in 2,000 years, more than 2 million people will live within a short walk of this exact spot, and 10 million more will press in around them. So why here? Why this muddy little island and nowhere else? Look down at the land below you. The answer was never the island itself. The answer is the river. This is the Seine. It runs slow and shallow here, and that is the whole secret. A fast, deep river is a wall. A slow, shallow one is a road. The Seine is a road, and it runs from the green heart of Gaul all the way down to the sea. But a road has a problem. How do you cross it? For 100 miles in every direction, the Seine is too wide to wade and too deep to ford easily. Except right here, right where you are standing. The river loses its nerve at this bend and breaks apart around a chain of small islands. Each channel is narrow. Each one is shallow. And suddenly, a river that was a barrier becomes a staircase of stepping stones. This is the only easy place to cross the lower Seine. Anyone moving north or south through this part of Gaul has to come to this spot. Trade routes don't choose pretty places, they choose crossings. And every road for miles bends toward the one place the great river can be beaten. So this is not a random island. This is a natural toll booth, dropped by geography exactly where two of the busiest directions of travel meet the water. Around 250 BCE, a Celtic tribe understands this. They are called the Parisii. They settle on the islands in the river, and they are not farmers first. They are boatmen and traders. They mint their own gold coins, beautiful ones, stamped with horses. Coins mean trade, and trade means this little island is already rich. And think about where they chose to live. Not on the open bank, exposed, on the island. The two arms of the Seine are a moat that never dries up. An enemy who wants you has to cross deep water first, in full view while you watch from dry land. The island gives the Parisii the one thing every early settlement is desperate for: safety. Water for defense, a crossing for trade, a river road to the sea. 3 gifts, all from the same bend in the same river. That is why here. Then, in 52 BCE, Rome arrives. Julius Caesar's legions sweep through Gaul, and they understand a good crossing when they see one. The Romans take the island and the banks around it, and they give the place a name. A Roman town rises, and watch how it grows, because the Romans do something the Parisii never did. They spill onto the land. The island stays the sacred, defended core. But the Romans build a real city on the high ground of the left bank, the small hill you can see to the south. They lay a forum there, and baths, and a theater, and an arena, where thousands sit to watch the games. They build straight as an arrow, and they bridge the river in 2 leaps, island to bank, north and south, so their great road can march clean across the Seine without slowing down. For the first time, the spot has a spine, a road through it, a bridge across it, a town beside it. The island is still the heart, but the heart now has a body. Rome fades, the empire crumbles, and the open Roman town on the hill becomes dangerous. So the people do something that tells you exactly what this place is for. They retreat back onto the island, back behind the water. When the world turns violent, everyone runs to the moat the river built, and they are right to. In the year 845, the dragon ships come. Vikings row up the Seine, because of course they do. The same river road that carries grain and wine downstream carries raiders upstream just as easily. A river is only ever as safe as the people on it. They sack the settlement and take a fortune in silver to leave. They come back. And in 885, a huge Viking fleet lays siege to the island for nearly a year. But this time, the island holds. The two bridges become two gates. The water becomes a wall. A few hundred defenders on a scrap of land hold off a force many times their size, because geography is fighting on their side. The siege fails, and the man who organized the defense, a count named Odo, is remembered for it across the kingdom. That siege changes everything. It proves this island is not just a crossing. It is a fortress that can save a kingdom. And in 987, when a new line of kings called the Capetians takes the French throne, they choose this defended river island as the center of their power. Slowly, deliberately, Paris becomes the capital of France. Now watch the city explode off the island, and watch it split in two as it grows. A capital needs money, so the right bank, the flatter northern shore, becomes the side of trade. There is marshy ground there, and the people drain it, channel by channel, until the swamp becomes solid streets. They even keep the name. To this day, that district is called the Marais, the French word for marsh, a quiet reminder of the wet ground it was built on. The great central market, Les Halles, grows here, and the docks, and the merchants. The river is the engine of all of it. Grain and wood and wine float down the Seine to the city, and the city's own goods float on toward Rouen and out to the sea. The boatmen of Paris become so powerful, so essential, that the city takes its very symbol from them. To this day, the coat of arms of Paris is a single ship riding the water, under 4 words of Latin, fluctuat nec mergitur. She is tossed by the waves, but she does not sink. The river built the city, defended the city, fed the city, and then handed the city its motto. While trade fills the right bank, something different grows on the left. The old Roman hill becomes the site of learning. Scholars gather, and around the year 1200 their schools harden into one of the first universities in Europe. By 1257, it has a college that gives the whole quarter its name, the Sorbonne. Students pour in from across the continent to study in Latin, which is why, 800 years later, that side of the river is still called the Latin Quarter, so the map now reads like a sentence. Defense in the middle, on the island. Money on the right bank, learning on the left. One river, 3 jobs, and a city that has quietly divided the work of being great between its 2 shores. Around 1190, a king named Philip Augustus throws a great stone wall around the whole thing, both banks, and builds a fortress to guard the downstream gate where the river enters the city. That fortress is called the Louvre. It begins its life not as a palace of art, but as a blunt military keep, watching the river for the next fleet of raiders that, thanks to the wall, never breaks through. And the island, the original mudbank, gets the crown. In 1163, they begin building a cathedral there, on the very ground the Parisii first settled. It takes nearly 200 years. We call it Notre Dame. Every distance in France is still measured from a small brass marker on the ground in front of it. Point 0, the official center of the country. Think about that. The exact spot from which the entire nation is measured is the old sacred island in the river. The center never moved. It just got buried under glory. Centuries pile on. Bridges multiply until the river is stitched with them. Railways arrive and fling the city far past every old wall, out across the fields you saw at the very beginning, until the green hills vanish under stone and slate, and the city becomes the Megacity of more than 2 million in its core. And over 10 grand avenues are cut through the medieval tangle, million around it, but peel all of it away. The avenues, the towers, the traffic, the lights, underneath every layer is the same simple truth that started it all. A slow river that was a road. A bend where that road could finally be crossed. And a small safe island sitting in the middle of the crossing, waiting for someone clever enough to build on it. So, here is where we end. You're standing on that same mudbank in the middle of the river. The reeds are long gone. You just can't see the island anymore, because a cathedral, a capital, and 1,000 years of stone are standing on top of it. But the water still splits and wraps around it, exactly as it did the day the first boatman dragged his hull up the mud and decided, of all the places in Gaul, this crossing was the one worth keeping. Paris was not built on an island by accident. Paris was built on the one island where the river finally said, "Here you may cross."